New bombshell in the transfer market for FC Barcelona during the World Cup. Yes, sir. Until just a few months ago, no one imagined this could happen, but it's completely official. Karim Adeyemi, new player for FC Barcelona. Fabrizio Romano has already confirmed it. He has already said that here we go, and Borussia Dortmund has accepted the deal. The German winger is going to play for Barça. He will wear the Blaugrana colors until 2031. And be careful, because behind this signing, there's much more than just a simple signing. It could be the move that completely changes FC Barcelona's attack for the coming years. Because yes, Barça has closed the deal for just 22 million euros. About 22 million euros are fixed, plus 7 million in add-ons. An amount that not long ago seemed really impossible for a footballer who was once highly valued. As, mind you, one of the best and most promising wingers in Europe, especially in Germany. In addition, Dortmund has reserved a percentage of any future sale, a condition that allowed the transfer fee to be considerably reduced. But there's a question that many fans are already asking themselves. Why did Flick push so hard for Karim Adeyemi? And the answer makes a lot of sense. And that's because the German coach didn't hesitate. He was simply looking for a winger. He was looking for speed. He was looking for vertical threat. He was looking for a player he knows. Because you already know he was his coach in the German national team. Also, he was looking for a player capable of breaking games open in less than 5 seconds. And Adeyemi is probably one of the 3 fastest footballers in the game today. When he has space ahead of him, he's practically unstoppable. That would completely change the way Barça attacks. Until now, the team dominated with the ball, but many times they struggled to run into space. With Adeyemi, a completely different threat appears. The center-backs will no longer be able to play so far forward. And the full-backs will have to think twice if they want to push forward. And that will create even more space for players like Pedri, Fermin, and any other midfielder. For example, the talented Gabi. Even if Lamine Yamal comes into the equation. Here's another very interesting detail. Many people think that Adeyemi is coming only to compete with Lamine Yamal, and that's exactly the opposite. He can play on both wings. Also, the player is two-footed. He can play as a second striker, even as an attacking focal point in certain matches. His versatility is one of the main reasons why Hansi Flick has been asking for him for a while. Keep in mind, this is something that really only came out a few days ago, just a few hours ago. Because this, I honestly think the name Adeyemi had never been mentioned for Barça before. But of course, now there's something here that really caught our attention. And the thing is, what's happening with Rafinha? What will happen with Rafinha? Because until just a few weeks ago, he seemed completely untouchable. Barça already has an agreement with Gordon. Now they're bringing in Adeyemi. And they keep working to finalize, of course, the signing, right? The big signing of Julian Alvarez. Suddenly, the Blaugrana attack is starting to get very crowded. Lamine Yamal, Anthony Gordon, Adeyemi, Ferran Torres, and the possible arrival of Julian. By the way, we'll talk more about Ferran Torres later. Too many names. That's the reality. Right now, there are too many names in Barça's forward line. And when a club brings in so many attackers, it usually means that someone might leave. It doesn't mean that Rafinha will necessarily leave, but if a very important offer comes in, Barça might start considering it. Especially because financially, the club still needs to generate income to strengthen the squad. It's true that we're under the 1-to-1 rule, but for Barça, any money that comes in is always going to help us a lot. And here another fundamental aspect comes into play. Adeyemi is just 24 years old. Only 24 years old, he's under contract until 2031. And he will earn around 6 million euros per season, a salary much lower than that of the other top stars on the market. That means Barça is bringing in talent. They're bringing in youth, and above all, a margin for growth without breaking their salary structure. That's the best news, I think. It's exactly the kind of deals that Deco has been trying to build for months. Young players, players with potential, with market value and even the possibility to increase their value. That's something very difficult nowadays in modern football. Because let's not forget one thing. Adeyemi still hasn't reached his ceiling. At Dortmund, he delivered spectacular performances, matches where he seemed unstoppable. others where he disappeared. That's true. That inconsistency has probably been his main problem, the big problem of his career. And that's where Hansi Flick comes in. Because Flick knows him perfectly. He was one of the coaches who believed in him the most in Germany. He knows how to motivate him. He knows how to make the most of his qualities. And above all, he's convinced that he can bring back that version of him we saw at Salzburg. And also, in his first months at Dortmund. And watch out, because the best is yet to come. Imagine that attack for a moment. Lamine Yamal on the right. Gordon constantly making runs in behind. Adeyemi coming in from either wing. And the possibility of Julian Alvarez appearing between the lines as a complete forward. What a dream. It gives me goosebumps, because that would be one hell of a forward line. Honestly, it would be on par with the best forward lines in Europe today. We're talking about a team with pace that Barça has practically not had in the entire last decade. And I'm not exaggerating. I mean, I think it's something what I'm saying is real. For many years, Barça dominated possession. Now they'll also have the chance to finish games off with pace. This is something that, as I said, hasn't happened in a long time. And that changes absolutely everything, especially in the Champions League. Because if there's something that has punished Barça in Europe in recent years, it's been precisely the lack of depth and threat in behind. And above all, also the lack of squad depth. Having more players, and with more quality. This is going to help a lot so that the team can also get more rest. Adeyemi arrives to solve exactly that problem. He presses. Defensive work, pay attention to this. Ability to constantly attack the space behind. Constant runs. An off-ball aggression that fits perfectly with the high-pressing style of the good Hansi Flick. He's a footballer who makes defenses uncomfortable. He forces mistakes. Who wins ground simply because of his physical ability. And that often doesn't show up in the statistics. But it's there. And Flick knows it, and that's why he signed him. He wants him to change games. And now, there's another perspective that I would say is even more important. That price. The price that Barça has paid. Because getting a player of this level for 22 million euros guaranteed plus add-ons is a market opportunity that very few clubs could let slip away. His contract situation greatly favored Barça. Dortmund knew that time was against them. Next year his contract ends. He could leave for free. And Barça has taken full advantage of the negotiation. Yes, they agreed to reserve a percentage of a future sale, but in exchange, they managed to greatly reduce the immediate outlay. And that's exactly what Barça needs right now. So I think it's a great signing. I think it's a signing that matches exactly what Barça needs right now for a project aimed at winning the Champions League. And it's a very Barça-type profile. Barça is signing players who fit Flick's needs. Each addition addresses a specific need. Gordon brings intensity. Adeyemi brings speed. And if Julian finally arrives, he'll bring goals, which is also what Barça needs in attack. So I would say yes, definitely. We could be witnessing the birth of one of the most dynamic, fastest, and hardest to read and defend forward lines in all of European football.